Jesus explains, spiritual spark and soul, fall and rise, return to the original state. March 12, 1955, message 6210, from Jesus through Bertha Dudde, spoken by Pascal. You will always be given insight if you ask for it, for erroneous thinking can lead you to doubt. Erroneous thinking will reveal gaps, whereas truth is complete wisdom that gives you light, that increases your knowledge, so that you may also understand me and my nature, my reign and work as the highest and most perfect spirit, and therefore your faith in me will become deeper and more alive, something only the truth can achieve. My love guides you to it, whereas erroneous thinking is the work of my adversary, who seeks to destroy your faith in me. I will always teach you in the same truth. The knowledge imparted to you will always be consistent and show no contradiction. I am spirit, from eternity to eternity, and spiritual beings emerged from me, beings of the same spiritual substance, who were perfect like me, but were first created by me. My love has already explained this to you many times, as well as why these beings lost their perfection, so that my plan of salvation might become understandable to you, and your love for me would be awakened and strengthened. However, that which is in a state of imperfection can no longer be referred to as divine. It belongs to a different sphere than the one in which I dwell, as well as everything spiritual that has remained in perfection. It has taken on a different nature. It has changed entirely within itself. Its nature is opposite to my original nature, and yet it is and remains a force that originated from me, which has flowed out into infinity, and will one day flow back to me, but will only reach me when the essential spiritual is once again in a state of perfection. These beings that emanated from me but distanced themselves were dissolved into countless spiritual particles, into countless substances, all of which were assigned a purpose in my creation, in order to now follow a path that would surely lead them upward again, back to me. So I drew the fallen spiritual matter back to me, because in its current state, weakened by its great distance from me, it would not have undertaken the ascent on its own. I succeeded in bringing all the particles belonging to a spiritual being back together, and I gave all these particles an outer form that was suitable for fulfilling a great task, namely, to prompt the soul, the union of those spiritual particles, to perform an activity that restored the original state, perfection. So, for the first time I animated the dead outer shell, the human body, with the soul, with the spiritual being that was originally my image, but which had itself departed from its perfect state. In order for the soul to attain perfection once again, I let a spark of my eternal power of love fall upon this soul. Something divine joined the soul, wishing to help it on its journey to perfection. A spark of love now establishes the connection with eternal love. But this spark must first be ignited by man himself, of his own will, which beams in every human being. It may be fanned into the greatest blaze, or suffocated, in which case any connection with me is impossible, leading to renewed banishment. This spiritual spark, which is my share, dwells within the human soul from the beginning of its incarnation until the death of the human body. If the soul has united with its spirit during its earthly life, i.e., if it has ignited the divine spark of love within itself, and allowed all its thoughts, desires, and actions to be determined by this spirit of love, then it has reached its original state, and returns to me. For my share urges me, meaning that the union of this soul with me as my child must now take place. But if the soul has never respected this spark of love, if it has completely stifled it, then it has deprived itself of the divine share that alone could help it live. It has thus voluntarily chosen death once again, banishment into solid form, where the divine spark of spirit cannot follow, because it only influences the self-conscious being when it gives it the opportunity to do so, but never the being deprived of its consciousness, which, in its bound will, must do as is my will. Free will alone allows my spirit to work, but free will can also prevent it, which is why the soul may also enter the spiritual realm without ever having become aware of the spirit within itself. These souls therefore remain in darkness for an endless time in the hereafter, because the divine spark of the spirit cannot shine, having detached itself from the soul at the moment of death and returned to its source. The being is now self-aware, but still full of resistance, which is why the loving activity of the spirit is impossible. That is why it is unspeakably difficult to awaken such souls from their dead state to life, but it is not impossible. Sparks of love now also flash in this realm, so the emanation of my love seems to ignite those souls again and again, to stimulate their will to enter into this ray of light and love. And my spirit now joins a willing soul, but it no longer works from within, but from outside the soul, i.e., it is guided by the world of light into recognition, something that could have happened on earth through the spiritual spark within it, if man had allowed it. That is why the ascent to the heights in the spiritual realm is unspeakably difficult. However, it can never be denied that the soul is the actual, self-conscious being that once fell as a primal angelic spirit. The soul is only considered fallen as long as it has not yet reunited with my spirit, and the principle of love does not reign within it, and it has not yet regained its original nature. The spiritual spark within man, the part of myself, is precisely that love which the fallen being lacked, but which is placed in man's heart as a tiny spark and must now be kindled by him into a blazing flame. The fallen being had renounced and rejected my love. Without love, it would never be able to return to me. But I want to win it back, and therefore I place a spark of my divine spirit in this soul. However, it must be ignited by free will to its highest intensity. The being may also reject my love, and yet it will not be left without help. But ascending to the heights in the beyond is different from ascending on earth. The soul can never reach the level that earthly life may grant it, if it willingly allows itself to be guided by my spirit within it, if it awakens the spark of the spirit within itself through a life of love, and has now, as it were, already entered into union with me, so that I myself may now influence it in this way, as it does not resist my emanation of love, and its entire being is transformed and assimilated into my original being. The same possibilities are not offered to it in the spiritual kingdom, but the soul is assisted to rise from the depths to the light if it does not resist the efforts of the world of light, and does not sink back into the deepest depths, which would mean a new banishment. The divine spark of the spirit within you is love, slumbering in every man as my share, but it must be ignited of its own free will. This spiritual spark has no form, but nonetheless it fills the entirety of the soul, and would thus spiritualize it. For the soul is the once fallen, self-conscious being that is to once again become the angelic spirit it had been in the beginning. Amen.